Hey YouTube, Hyckory Styck back with you again. Today is a great day for Hyckory Styck fishing. For me as a person, my family as a family, and for the channel, for more than one reason. First of all, today the channel hit 1,000 subscribers, which is not something I expected to be able to do, and particularly not something I expected to be able to do with the speed at which it happened. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to everybody that has subscribed. I appreciate it, and if y'all stick around, we're going to have a lot more adventures. Secondly, the other reason that it's such a great day for the channel is today I am out on a private lake not far from my home. This is a very old lake. I think it was built in the 60s or 70s. But this lake is a private lake, and my wife and I were recently able to purchase a piece of property in the subdivision that this lake is in. Not to move here, but we bought it for fishing access. This area has 3 lakes that it has given me fishing access to. So I now have 3 more very nice private lakes that I can fish in. So we're going to do a lot of fishing in these lakes. This is my first time being on this lake. I just turned the camera on. I've been here about an hour. First fish I caught on topwater bait. I don't know much at all about this lake, other than I've been told by multiple people that there's good bass fishing in it. It is stocked with northern largemouth. It is not stocked with Florida bass, which is a plus for me because all of you know I love northern largemouth. None of that is actually the point of the video today. Today I want to talk about where do bass go in the summer. This is a subject that is very much talked about, but it is the heat of summer down here in the south. I want to give you a perspective that is from the standpoint of where I'm at in the deep south down by the coast. It's well known that bass in the summertime do one of 2 things. To begin with, they split up, and either they go deep and hang off of ledges and or drop-offs, or they stay shallow and they hang to shallow cover, such as grass or lilies or even or woody structure. Which of those 2 things they do is totally dependent upon what the body of water you're fishing in has for them. If you're fishing a lake that has a lot of deep structure or a lot of deep drop-off or ledges, the majority of those bass are going to go to those deep ledges and those drop-offs. If you're fishing a lake that has a lot of woody structure, a lot of grass, a lot of lilies, then the majority of those bass are going to go shallow and hang around that shallow structure. Especially if that lake doesn't have any deep drop-offs or ledges. This is particularly true down here in the deep south. Down here in the deep south where I'm at, we don't have a lot of deep water reservoirs. We don't have any at all in my area. Down here, deep water, 30 feet is deep water. So we don't have any of those 70, 80, 200, 100, 200 feet deep reservoirs in here. If I want to fish one of those, I've got to drive hours north up to northern Mississippi or northern Alabama. We just don't have it down here. What we do have down here, typically, is lots of grass, lots of lilies. So our fish tend to go to shallow structure. So by nature, I am a shoreline fisherman. That's what I have to do. Ooh, oh, he missed it. Y'all see that? See, that fish was 20 feet from shore. By nature, that's what I have to do when I'm fishing because of the terrain and the topography of our lakes. The entirety of this lake that I'm on, which is about a 40-acre lake, the entirety of this lake is less than 20 feet deep. There's no fish on ledges in this lake. The fish in this lake are patrolling the shallows. They're hanging to the structure. There's no deep ledges for them to be on. So down here in the deep south where I'm at, when I'm looking at a lake and I'm wanting to fish a lake, I'm looking at the shoreline. I want to know what the shoreline looks like. Number 1, how much shoreline is there? Number 2, what's the shoreline look like? I don't want to go fish a lake down here that's a round bowl. I don't want to go fish that. There's not enough shoreline. Number one, a lake like that down here is not going to support a good fish population. Number two, it's going to be really hard to fish because you don't have much shoreline, you don't have much structure. Right now, I'm fishing a Black Label Tackle Tease prop bait in the color Bold Bluegill. And another thing that will determine where your bass go is what forage that they have to eat. If your bass forage shad, they're going to typically go deeper because shad, in the heat of the summer, shad move out of the shallows and they move out into deeper water. However, if your bass typically forage panfish, such as bluegill don't really move to deeper water that much in the summer, especially down in the south. Bluegill go to woody structure, or grass, or lilies, or things of that nature. They hold to structure. Whereas shad are open water fish, and they move out into the open water and school. Bluegill don't do that. Here in the south, we don't have a lot of shad. Shad are typically a colder water fish. Now, there are species of shad that live down here in the south, but we don't have these typically in these huge populations of shad, particularly in our reservoirs. Number one, because we don't have really big reservoirs down here. And number two, because we just don't really have the deep water. I mean, the biggest reservoir in my area is Flint Creek, where I typically fish, and it's 650 acres. So we don't really have these large reservoirs. Our topography of our land just doesn't support it. Another thing is we don't have any major rivers here for power generation. They're real slow this evening, guys and gals, but I know they're here. There's fish in this lake that ain't never been caught before. What do you do when you want to figure out a new lake? There's all kinds of theories out there for it on what to, what to throw, what to go and look for. And the guys that have the more advanced sonar, such as the new live sonar, live scan and things of that nature, well, they've got an advantage because they can go out there and they can physically look for the fish. And they can look at the structure and see where the fish are holding in different places. But somebody like me who doesn't really have any advanced sonar, I've got side imaging. It's not even a mega, it's just a side imager. We are kind of having to do it the old-fashioned way. So the approach that I take when I'm trying to figure out a new lake for the first time is I go to what works first. I know what works in this area, and I know what works for me. So that's where I head first, which is why I've gone to this prop bait, why I go to the popping bait. I've even got a June bug colored Cinco tied on wacky. I'm gonna tie on a different bait here. Not on this rod, I want to keep this bait on, but on my medium heavy topwater rod. Going to be sticking with a Pop Max, but I want to tie on a different color. I'm gonna try this color. This is called Pagani AU or something like that. I don't know, some hard word. It either looks like a bullfrog, snake-ish look to it. I don't know. It's not as flashy. It is a matte finish. So I feel like in these lower light conditions like we're having today, that it will probably be a good bait. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, I lost him. Didn't set the hook good. That's a good sign though. It was only my third cast. Or second cast, actually, I think. I don't know. Once again, I'm going to what I know. I know Pop Max catch fish. I catch a lot of fish on a Pop Max. And I'm going to do what I know works. I'm going to fish the edges. I'm going to fish the edges until I figure out that what I'm doing and what I'm using isn't working. And then I'll change something to another strategy. Unfortunately, I only made, ooh, there's fish. There he is. He ain't very big, but he's a taker. See how long he is. This is why I grab them with the dashed pliers. 12.5 inches. Bye, fish. Thank you for your patronage. Well, that's one. Well, actually it's two, because I did catch one earlier. Looks like it gets pretty shallow up in here. I apologize for the racket. The interstate is right over there, only about a half a mile away. hungry. They all look like to be like 12 inches or so. Try this prop bait for a minute. There's a fish. That's a little better fish. Man, that's a pretty fish, folks. Look how dark colored that fish is. That's a beautiful fish. Hi fish, thanks for your patronage. It's pretty shallow in here and it looks like there's just mounds of dirt all in here. I don't quite understand that, but maybe they dug it out in here to build the road that goes across. I don't know. This time of the evening, those bigger bass should be patrolling up in the shallows. They should be moving up out of the darkness, moving up to patrol the shallows some. Missed it. Ooh, look at that. Fish struck in it when it hit the water. There he is. Yeah, there he is. There he is. Oh, that's a little better fish. Yeah, we'll take him. That's a pretty decent fish there now. Yes, sir, boys and girls. We'll take that fish. That's a nice fish there. We'll take him. Let's see. Nice. Nice bass. He's fat too. Bye, fish. Thank you for your patronage. Oh, geez. Oh. No. He missed it, I think. Or either he took it under and spit it right back out and I set the hook too hard. I never felt the fish. I missed that one too. Ooh, something just struck it. He didn't hit it good. Oh, there he come back hard. Yep. Alright, he came back hard. Yeah, he came back hard. He ain't real big. He's alright. Anyway, being as this Pop Max is a little heavier bait and it's getting really close to dark, I can cover more distance with the cast, with each cast, maximize an opportunity to catch fish. He's all right. About 13 inches. My fish, thank you for your patronage. He struck it 3 times before he ever took it. I work my topwater baits all the way to the boat. And the reason I do that is that many a time I have had a fish strike it right at the boat. I guess it's gonna be our last cast. All right, folks, I think we're gonna call it an evening. The first trip to this new to me private lake that I now have access to fish, I think was a complete success. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody that subscribed to my channel since I just hit 1,000 subscribers today. For anybody new that happens to be watching, if you want to come and watch an old crazy redneck from South Mississippi try to catch more bass and try to learn how to catch more bass, then subscribe and follow along. But until next time, as always, this is Hyckory Styck, and y'all have a good one.